Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Today, I got a special treat for you guys. I have a podcast, and today we have Bernard,
Good morning.
Angelo,
Good afternoon.
and Nick.
Good.
Anyways, to start off, I'm gonna ask you guys, when and what was your first gaming experience competitively, at least?
I would like to start this off with myself. I began competitive gaming at a pretty young age. I started playing Team Fortress 2 when I first got my laptop. Actually, I remember when I first received my laptop around the year 2009. It was this basic gateway laptop that had really bad graphics on it, but I began playing Team Fortress 2 on it, and from there, I honestly didn't know I was playing against real players until my brother pointed it out to me, and it just grew from there. I picked up Dota 2, and then I picked up Counter-Strike, and then right now, I'm playing Dead by Daylight with you guys, but not really that competitively.
Yeah. Angelo?
Well, my competitive gaming experience started a little different. I started out playing on if we're talking about competitive games, I started on the PlayStation. I would get really into Call of Duty, especially Modern Warfare 2. That was my first time trying it out. I was really into trying to get the highest kill streak, and I'll admit I raged a lot, but as it built on, I figured that competitive life wasn't for me. I'm not really
you're
that
trash.
competitive, maybe, but yeah.
Alright, Nick.
I started off back in 2012 when Black Ops 2 came out. They had this mode called League Play, where essentially you would play with like a team and you would progress into the higher ranks. And I thought it was interesting because as you progress into the higher ranks, you played against stronger opponents. And when you played against stronger opponents, naturally your skills would get better because that's how competition is. It brings out the best in people. And then in high school or in middle school, I evolved to Counter on PC, which is a totally different playing field. There's a wide gap between like really weak players and really good players. And I worked my way up, striving to be the best. And at the end, I was.
Yeah, and then for me, started playing on PlayStation. Remember Zach, Angelo?
Yeah, I remember Zach.
Yeah. So I started playing with him always on the PlayStation. I would always get mad, and then when I would get mad, I would do better, and then he would always try to get me mad just so we can win, like search and destroy games and crap. From there, my old foster brother, he showed me World of Warcraft on the PC, and then that's when like I kind of got into like competitive PC gaming at least. And so from there, went on Counter-Strike. I played with you, Angelo, and then I met Nick from there, and then met Bernard, and then that's how we kind of became friends because of Counter-Strike, really. And then after Counter-Strike, we just kind of diverse into Overwatch, Fortnite, me mostly, DVD. Do you think that outside of gaming, like your emotions, has gaming like brought out more anger and stuff? Since like a lot of people are saying video games are like making people more violent and crap. Do you actually believe that?
I would actually like to point out what you just said earlier. Earlier, you did say that your friend made you mad so you could win the game, and that kind of refines the point that video games causes violence. What you just said.
Constructive violence.
Okay, yeah. See, with that, it was within the game, not really outside. So like, I would never really be mad outside. My parents would say, like, as a kid, I was more friendly, and like, I don't think I was ever like actually
I would have to
angry.
disagree with your parents.
But go on, Bernard.
Me personally, I feel like video games competitively have made me angry
Mhm.
towards real life, because when you think about it, video games are much better than reality. Reality sucks, right? And I
Mhm.
don't want to sound like an incel saying that, oh, in the gaming world I'm better, but no, it's true. You would rather be good at something you know you could be good at, which brings out a lot of people that don't try hard in life and always try like the very basic thing just to get through. And people that play video games, if their games don't go their way and that's the only thing they like, they're gonna take out their anger on something else. I
It's
just
like it's like losing in a sport. Being angry is a natural response because like you know you can win and you want to win, but you just come up short. And in competition, someone's always going to be a loser.
True that.
that's true.
Yeah. Well, like I like to comment on this because, well, I personally don't think it causes violence per se. I think video games, especially when you're playing in the competitive sense, does make people more aggressive, especially in real life and especially towards people they know or that they play games with. That you'll tend to notice that when when you're like with a group of friends, they start being really aggressive towards you, and they start, you know, cursing at you, or I wouldn't say beating you up, but beating you up.
I mean, I would do that. Like, you know how I mess around with you, but I feel like sometimes it's more you're more comfortable with the person, you know?
When
Are
is there a limit? Like
Yeah.
when do your true colors really show? Like are those is that really you what you want the other person to know you as? Like this type of person that you can just be so lenient as and just cuss at them and say all these bad words to them and
Okay.
you don't
I feel like being strict is a necessity because you really want to win, so you have to like, teach them not to mess up. You want to make sure that they don't do it a second time,
True.
and if they get it right, you want people to take it as serious as you do.
Yeah, like especially when you're going pro and stuff, you kind of want to have a perfect team. You don't want to mess up and like ruin a chance of winning money or something.
but you don't think that kind of degrades your relationship with the person?
No,
It depends on the people, honestly. That's why when I play with Nick, Nick knows what he's getting into. If I get mad at him, I know. Like he's gonna know that he signed up for this because we're doing it competitively. We all want to do great in it, and then in the end, we know that it was just a game. And I know that some people don't get that, but sometimes they have to face reality and just know that it was just a game, and you can just restart. This friendship should still stay intact. If your friendship was strong enough from the beginning, it should still stay strong throughout. Even if you yell at them, sometimes people have fights even after a game. Even though sometimes it's dumb, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like because we're all still friends. We all yell at each other.
I'd like to disagree with that.
um, uh, we like we get into fights, yeah, and it may be intense, but in the end, we just all still like talk to each other. We're not on bad terms, but in the competitive sense of especially when you're talking about esports, as in the professional where your careers lie in you performing good, uh, and when you don't, you start losing money and all that. Then that's when it really destroys relationships. Like when you start not performing or you start making enemies out of people in this like professional environment is as if it's a job. Well, it
But
is a job.
I know, but when it's still just a job, I feel like you should still be friends with people because you can see throughout the community and stuff that people will get mad And like you could see in some clips of Twitch clips, like people getting mad at their teammates or something, but at the end of the day, they're still friends. They understand that they have to kind of take it serious, but it doesn't really destroy their friendship. I just feel like some people that are crybabies and stuff, you know, that's like people who can't really take criticism.
So when you're in the losing atmosphere, you're gonna want to put the blame on someone else. You don't want to think that like you're the reason why your team is losing. But you
Sure.
also don't want to hear like from your teammates that you're
Yeah.
just nothing, you're dead weight. Because the chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
What
Would you
about
say
the
like
people?
playing competitive video games in general affects your whole life, or just when you play it?
I think honestly, just when you play it, sometimes I get that people can't control their emotions sometimes, and the competitive life would go into their actual life, and I just think that's dumb because
I'm gonna have to disagree with you.
why?
When you're in a competitive nature, you're gonna want to have that winner's mindset, and that applies to everything outside of video games. Like when
Right.
you're in,
Mhm.
like in school, you want to compete to be the best student. In sports, you want to be the best athlete. You just want to have that winner mentality.
You know what? Nick is actually right. It's like the competitive atmosphere can really get to your head, and you can just constantly always want to be the number one person.
Okay, but is having competition bad though? Like,
No, absolutely not. Competition is great. It ensures growth. It's just that how you handle loses, like losses, how you handle winning.
I just feel like competition is just so big that I feel like some people are mistaking competitiveness for being too aggressive, you know? Like how social media, or not social media, just media has persuade or perceiving gamers as like violent acts and stuff, and like shooters and stuff. How they've been suggesting, oh, there are shooters because they've been playing video games. I just think
I
it's
think the fault in that it's not the video games, but the way the kid was raised and the way the kid was raised to think about things.
Mhm.
Like they were probably raised to like if you lose, you're a loser and that's it. Don't learn like you lost because of everything was your fault, and there's nothing you could do about it. You will stay that way. It's like the same mentality of like that's why the media will blame video games for violence because they assume that there's like a simple answer towards everything, but it gets deeper than that.
Do you believe it's just like what type of video games like have you played that have really affected you?
Well, I used to play a lot of Dota 2, like 8 hours a day. It was pretty bad to the point where I would just want to go home and play Dota, and I didn't want to play any other game. And I did pretty well in it. I got pretty high rank. It was fun while it lasted, but you have to think about how much time it takes from your day and how much commitment you really put on it, because you just like you rely so much of your dopamine to win, like to see that winning screen,
Mm.
because you invest at least 30 to 50 minutes for each match, and I played so many matches. I think I have 4,000 hours in the game,
And you have to think about like what else could you put that 4,000 hours in? You could get like higher test scores. You can work more jobs.
Exactly, and now that I think about it, I wasted so much time just playing Dota 2. What did that really teach me? To be mad at people that they didn't play the way I wanted them to play.
Mhm.
I guess you could make the excuse that it made leadership skills, but if everyone wants to be a leader in that game, it's just going to create chaos and nobody's going to listen to you, and it's just frustrating. The whole game was frustrating from the start, and it's provided a time waster, something to waste my time on.
For you guys, how do you think video games like overall has changed you? I know Bernard kind of answered that already, but from input from Angelo and
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like Bernard. They gave me like different mindsets and skills. Because in Counter Strike, I would always have to my teammates because they were just lost and having a bunch of random plays going on throughout the whole. It's just chaotic and you don't get anywhere with it. It's better to stay organized and have a set plan and execute it than just run around.
So how has that changed? Like just how your mindset is?
Outside of school or outside of video games, school always put like a leadership role in any group project. I'd always try my best to motivate others and to organize our plans.
Angela?
Yeah, like, it may not seem this way, but like outside, the competitive games have like really changed my mindset in terms I don't really want to be competitive. Does that make sense? Like, competitive games always keep me stressed, and although I do play it a lot, like not so much anymore. It's because I really don't like being stressed. I'm not, the competitive lifestyle really isn't for me. And sure, I gained the stuff that Nick and Bernard have said about kind of like more organized, and it wants you to keep you more organized. What I got from it is it just taught me to be more relaxed. I don't want to be living on the edge so much as I like where if I was more in the competitive environment. I just want it to be like easy riding, you know? It's really affected my life. I've logged in about 1,500 hours. That time looking back was really, I wouldn't say wasted. It was really fun, but
you could have done better with it.
I could have done better with it instead of, screaming and all that. Screaming for about 1,000 of those hours,
So if you hate being competitive, why'd you dump like so many hours into it?
It's just like an addiction thing, I want to stop. I
Why are
genuinely
you
do.
addicted? Like what part of it?
It's the rush, of winning, I guess. Like, it is. It really is.
So-
Winning is addicting. But the stress that comes after it, like that affects you, it really isn't fun. Like sometimes I'd come back to my senses after a competitive game, and I'd realize my hand is shaking really bad. Like, holy cow.
I think that's a good thing because stress is really helpful. It builds character, it shows you true nature, and helps you improve into a better individual. Pressure creates diamonds.
I don't know, the pressure. I'm not really into that kind of pressure. I'd rather stay like a rock.
So, like, if you have a rock and it's like all sharp on the edges, if you pressure that with water, that's gonna smoothen out, and you'll have a finer rock.
So are you saying like a little stress is good in my life? Is that like, I mean, I do like a little stress. That's why I play competitive games once in a while, but I don't play it daily like I used to. It doesn't take up my whole life.
Like, we can all agree that competitive gaming is good. It's just like we can't have too much of it.
I actually don't like competitive gaming
Well, besides for Bernard, because
it's a lifestyle, dude. It's not something you could do
here and there.
like on the here and there. It's a lifestyle. Either you're competitive or you're not.
True.
Because there's casual and there's competitive. There's nothing in between. Like, Angel's a casual. Nick is competitive. They have different lifestyles. Nick likes to always be successful. Angel's okay with like riding the wave. He doesn't care if he makes it number one. He doesn't stress too much about it.
You
That's
should always
okay.
strive to be the best at whatever you do, though.
And that's okay. That's
Yeah,
your
everyone
lifestyle
has
choices.
like different viewpoints, and that's like what competitive gaming. It made Angelo realize that he doesn't
He's
like
not cut out for
competition.
it.
Yeah, and then you want to be boom boom all
I
the way
want to
up
win
there.
more.
Nick or Bernard, it just tired him out. Me, I like it here and there. Like, I kind of do like competitive gaming because it just makes me anxious and stuff. And like, but out of school, honestly, it doesn't really change me. Like, I'm whatever about everything out of school. I mean, out of gaming. But when I'm in games, I kind of want to do the competitive. Like, competitive seems more fun.
Competition is fun for some people.
But with that, we are running out of time. But I just want to thank you guys for listening. But yep, that's the podcast, and bye bye.
Hi, Miss Lane.
I'm Lane.